Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World of Wrestling. You know what to do at this time. Hit the like button if you like this video after you get a chance to watch it. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel, of course. And leave a comment down below on anything I had to discuss about AEW Dynamite October 14th review. So let's go ahead, hit that intro music, and we'll be right back to discuss AEW Dynamite for October 14th. It was a pretty big, solid show. So let's get into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that nice little Metallica whiskey in the jar. So, we're going to go over AEW Dynamite, of course, for October 14th, 2020. This episode was a pretty solid, entertaining show. Had some ups, had some downs. I have to admit, some of the show was a bit boring, but majority of it was pretty decent. Quite frankly, the biggest, thing I had with this was the AEW Women's World Championship match. That match was really dull, boring, and I just did not give a shit. I didn't even pay attention to it. I loved the segment with MJF and Chris Jericho, which I will get into and discuss what happened there. There was a little bit illogical planning in that. But outside of the issue I have with it, it was very funny, entertaining stuff. So let's just get into the entire card and the segments and go over this. So FTR defended the tag team titles against the Best Friends. Very solid matchup. Unfortunately, the Best Friends lost thanks to Kip Sabian and Miro later on, I believe. I might be wrong about that. So the situation was Wheeler actually smacks Taylor over the head with the championship belts. They get kind of screwed over with the titles being smashed over their heads, and Taylor actually gets pinned for the 1-2-3 with some situation with the titles. So there was a little shenanigans going on with FTR. Later on after the match, Miro came out and demolished Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, put Beretta in the camel clutch, and made him tap out. Unfortunately, in that move, while he was executing it, he kind of botched. He missed Beretta's head and slipped, and then had to reapply the hold properly. So it looked a little fucked up. There was some major issues with the commentary. There was some botches being mentioned here and there with mistakes that they were trying to say, which is not... They don't usually do that very often, at least from what I've noticed. I mean, they've done it in the past. When they first started out, they used to make some botches here and there with what they were talking about and what have you. There was a little bit of that here in the show, so I was a little concerned about that. They were kind of off their game with this episode with commentary. The commentary team was like 1 minute had all three, the next minute Tony Schiavone was off doing something else or doing backstage stuff or doing some shit with Brett Baker. My God, I couldn't stand that segment, which I'm not even going to discuss. It was ridiculous. So anyway, FTR wins the tag team titles and retains them. They move on to the next portion of the show, or the next episode or pay-per-view with the tag team titles, I should say. Miro and Kip Sabian later on, after they destroy Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, they defeat Sean Maluda and Lee Johnson, and Miro makes his opponent tap out. Miro stomps the back and locks the game over for the tap out. So the new maneuver for the camel clutch, well, not new maneuver, but the new name for the maneuver is called the game over. Sounds a little like a parody on fucking Triple H, apparently. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anywho, moving on to other things that was mentioned. Post-match, Sabian gets on the mic and is not happy about the arcade game getting destroyed during the tag team championship match. Miro takes the mic and says, "Good friends, you break my shit, game over." And there you go. Backstage, we had Lance Archer beating up on Jon Moxley, get some early advantage over Jon Moxley going into the World Championship match, which I'll get into when we get to the main event. We then had MJF head out to the ring to discuss with Chris Jericho about some stuff that he wanted to make an announcement that would be groundbreaking in AEW. Something WWE has no idea how to do. I know I keep taking shots at them. It's just, it really upsets me that WWE can't produce or be in the level of MJF, of AEW in creative. I don't know why they are continuously doing this kind of shit to themselves outside of just pushing people away. And if that's what they want to do and go out of business, by all means, that's up to them. I don't really give a shit. I care about watching wrestling and being entertained, not watching a joked out fucking company make a mockery of itself. So MJF heads out to the ring with Wardlow for the big announcement. MJF says before he gets going, he asks Chris Jericho to head out to the ring. Jericho and the rest of the inner circle comes out to the ring. The group is wearing the jackets MJF gave them. I believe it was about a week or two ago, and Sammy Guevara has one, but is not wearing it. Sammy doesn't want to wear it because the thing is way too big on him. But Jericho yells at him and tells him to put it on. So he puts on the jacket and it's way too big. And MJF goes, "It fits like a glove, little buddy. Looks great." MJF jokes. And he looks ridiculous wearing that jacket. Very funny segment. This could lead to an eventual... I can imagine what might happen here. Because later on in this segment, I'm just going to get right to it. MJF eventually leads into his point of why he had this announcement. And the purpose of it is that he wanted to ask if he could join the inner circle. And he was really trying not to, even though he did. He didn't seem like he was pretty much thinking that it was... I don't think he ever imagined himself being in a faction, but he thinks because of the fact they're in such the AEW's talent pool is getting so good and they're evolving and getting better, he figured, hey, why not be allies to each other and be in the inner circle with them so that they could protect each other and make them the two top dogs in AEW. That is basically the purpose behind this. But I see this either going one or two ways. We're either going to see MJF join the inner circle. The inner circle is then going to fall apart with MJF being in it. Or we're going to see MJF and Chris Jericho go at it one-on-one to prove who's the big dog in AEW at this point as a heel. So this is going to either lead to him joining Inner Circle or MJF and Jericho, two heels, going at it to prove who's the alpha male as a heel in AEW. In which case Jericho is going to end up losing that match. that may even lead to Jericho and possibly the Inner Circle itself turning face. That's a possibility, but I'm not going to jump the gun. We need to just take our time week after week to see how this storyline unfolds. This eventually led to them saying, let's have a serious talk over some steak. And they pretty much said that they were going to have a meeting to discuss this over a dinner with steak. That's what we got. Tony Schiavone had a segment with Brett Baker. Fucking ridiculous. Don't care to even discuss this. It was ridiculous. I think Brett Baker would fit perfectly with WWE. She is ridiculous. She brings down the quality of AEW. It makes me feel as if I was watching a WWE segment on AEW. Pretty fucked up. Cody faced Orange Cassidy for the AEW TNT Championship. This match was great. Unfortunately, it ended with a draw. Now, 2 weeks later, we're going to see this match happen again. They didn't mention that this is going to be a no time limit match, so we're not quite sure if that's going to lead to another draw, because they're already mentioned that Darby Allin is supposed to get a opportunity at Full Gear for the TNT Championship. I would have been okay with them not doing any more TNT Championship matches until Full Gear and just make it a triple threat match, since Orange Cassidy didn't lose, nor did he win. So I kind of think he kind of earned that, and he was very close to winning this match. But very, very good matchup. These two guys worked very well together. At first, they were kind of slow. They didn't seem like they were building any chemistry together in this match, but as the time went on in the match, it got better and better, and it just was really, really entertaining shit. Do I hope Orange Cassidy wins the TNT Championship eventually? Yes, I do feel that this title would be the appropriate championship for him to own at this time, because he has definitely pushed himself as wrestling goes to be really fantastic, and he would do very well for the TNT Championship. That's just how I feel about that. So we had a segment discussing Moxley got even with Lance Archer backstage. He attacked him, so Jon Moxley went in there a little bit and got some retribution on that. Not referencing anything from WWE. Anyway, we had Matt Hardy in the crowd being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, checking in on his health, how he's doing, going over everything, and he's now clear 100% by the doctors for him to compete in AEW. We then had a video pop up on the Titantron while they were having this interview being conducted, and it was revealed that Sammy Guevara was the guy who actually attacked Matt Hardy. Before the reveal of Sammy Guevara being that person, he actually was taking 3 different pictures of Matt Hardy that were 3 different versions. Matt Hardy version 1, Matt Hardy of the Hardy Boys, and then Broken Matt Hardy, and he was burning each one of those pictures up and then revealed himself. His sole purpose is to put away Matt Hardy and make him injured every time he is cleared to be able to wrestle in AEW. And that's pretty much it. Matt Hardy came up with the idea that he wants to face Sammy Guevara. This match probably will happen at Full Gear. That's what I would do to fill up the card. It has a build to it, especially after that all-out event. So I definitely see that match occurring on Full Gear. Now we had Private Party, John Silver and Alex Reynolds, the Butcher and the Blade, and the Young Bucks announced to be facing in a fatal 4-way tag team match for the winner to face AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR at Full Gear. My opinion on this. Do I want to see the Young Bucks win? Yes and no. one, because FTR versus Young Bucks would be a fucking fantastic matchup, but no, because of the fact that it is way too soon. I think this deserves a very good, solid build into maybe a pay-per-view into 2021. Honestly, if I was to choose a second tag team to win this matchup, I'd actually take the Private Party. Simply because of FTR and Private Party would probably deliver on a pay-per-view event. I think they would do very well together in a one-on-one, or well, not one-on-one, but a tag team matchup for the tag titles. I think they would deliver. I mean, they're not going to deliver like the Young Bucks would with FTR, but granted, it would be good enough for a pay-per-view match. So, I honestly would like to see this done at Revolutions for the February pay-per-view, if that's what they're still going to be doing with FTR and the Young Bucks. I kind of hope they build up to this, not just rush right into it. Though I wouldn't have a problem with it, because FTR and the Young Bucks, I mean, they'll fucking tear the roof off the place. But I think it deserves a little bit more building towards that before we actually just jump right into it. So that's my attitude on that. The Young Bucks did actually attack everyone in the ring, super kicked everyone. I think they need to bring back the slogan "Super Kick Party" and have the announcers do that. That was always fun in Ring of Honor when they used to do that shit and say "Super Kick Party." Yeah. I sound retarded here. Hikaru Shida defended the women's championship against Big Swole. Please, give me a break. Hashida has no fucking competition outside of Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is the only competition Shida actually has. The rest of the women's division is like WWE's women's division. It's crap. So, yeah. Eddie Kingston and Lucha Bros actually head over to commentary to watch the main event and discuss some things. We actually had a vignette shown of Shawn Spears saying he is not stalking Scorpio Sky, but he doesn't appreciate Sky getting involved in one of his moments when he went to attack Matt Sydal a few weeks back. Spears says Sky now owes him a moment, and he plans on collecting on that. Very, very weak. I mean, I personally don't particularly care for Shawn Spears here in AEW as much as I did in WWE, which is kind of weird for me to even say that. WWE failed on Shawn Spears. I think he would have done a lot better in WWE. I kind of felt he had more chemistry there. Here, he is just... he's a heel that doesn't really go anywhere. He has no momentum. He has no, push going on here to get him in any kind of contention. I mean, why aren't we seeing maybe Shawn Spears versus Cody for the TNT Championship? I mean, I think that would be a lot more entertaining to see. I mean, after what happened last year and what build towards the all-out pay-per-view from last year, I think would be great for this. But unfortunately, that's not the direction they're going with Shawn Spears. So, I mean, it is what it is. The main event then occurred. Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. Oh, yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention this. The MJF Chris Jericho segment. I forgot to talk about this, and I did happen to mention earlier in the show that it didn't make a lot of any logical sense to me of MJF. The illogical part of what happened in that segment was MJF asking to be in the Inner Circle. The reason why I say that is because 2 weeks ago, he brought those jackets to them, and Jericho asked him, do you want to join the Inner Circle? And he didn't answer him. He didn't give him an answer. He didn't really do anything. And I don't understand why they couldn't have done that there. And maybe then start something do a segment in that same spot with this dinner in type situation. I think it would have went well with this entire show. It would have been entertaining. They probably would have done some funny stick together, which, I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, that whole segment in the ring was very good, but I think it would have worked. It would have made more sense for them to just get it over with and get to the point. Here, it just looked like they were dragging on and on about it, which was inevitable for them to just go right into it. So, it is what it is. I don't know. But Moxley versus Lance Archer, this was an okay matchup. I mean, it wasn't like their match in New Japan Wrestling during the Wrestling Kingdom event that happened earlier this year. It wasn't like that. That match was downright brutal. This match was kind of like a light version of that. It didn't really live up to the same expectations, but it was an okay match. The only issue I had with it is Jon Moxley hit 2 paradigm shifts, and both times Lance Archer kicked out. And I understand in the very beginning of the match, he hits the move and he kicks out. I can understand that, but at the very end of this matchup, with probably like 5-6 minutes left, he hits the paradigm shift again and still could not defeat him. He kicked out. Then Lance Archer hit his finishing maneuver, and afterwards he tries to go for a pin, and yet Moxley manages to roll him up after he kicked out of the pinfall and rolled him up and got the 1, 2, 3. I don't get it. Why would you be able to beat him with a fucking simple roll-up with a guy like the name of Lance Archer, who is known as like a fucking killer in AEW? He's their version of Braun Strowman, only better. I mean, he's done better, but still, at the end of the day, you got Lance Archer losing that way? Really? That is retarded. And then we had Eddie Kingston at the end congratulating Jon Moxley in a very unsincere way, and then bitch slaps him, basically. Does a spinning bitch slap to him, and then puts him in a rear naked choke, and he passes out to sleep, and that was the end of that, and that's how the show ended. So Eddie Kingston actually is apparently, I guess, in contention for the World Championship, and personally I feel like either 1 or 2 matches would be suitable for these two guys. It ain't gonna be no singles match, pinfall submission bullshit. We're either gonna see a submission match where someone has to literally tap out, pass out, or say I quit, or we have a last man standing match. Or, I mean, they could go all the way to an I quit match. I mean, that's something they could do, which I'd imagine they might, because of the fact that Eddie Kingston never said I quit. He passed out. So I think that probably would be the more suitable match, the I quit match, now that I brought that up. So, yeah, I think Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, I quit match would be the suitable term for them to do for a gimmick match. I think that would be a very entertaining match. I think these two guys could tear each other apart, give us a really grueling, gritty matchup, and we get Moxley to have Eddie Kingston say, I quit. I think that would be fucking great. And it would make Eddie Kingston look good because, I mean, regardless, even though he says, I quit, he's gonna go ahead and give Moxley a run for his money and really kick his ass. So that's just my opinion on the show, the build-up towards Full Gear. Not to mention that tournament is not going to have a number 1 contender to challenge for the world title at the pay-per-view. The final matchup is going to occur at Full Gear to crown the number 1 contender. I thought they were going to have the tournament done before the pay-per-view to have our number 1 contender face Jon Moxley for the world title at Full Gear. So unfortunately, that is not going to happen. I thought maybe we were going to see Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page going into a Dynamite episode just before the pay-per-view, and then we maybe like get a 2-week build between Moxley and Kenny Omega and use the 1 year that they competed against to do the entire storyline, because really, let's be honest, the whole story is right there for you. You don't have to do much build there. The simple build towards that whole matchup is a year-long absence of these two guys not interacting with each other whatsoever, and now reigniting that rivalry that we had last year a year later. So there you go. That would have been a really simple way of doing that match, and it would have been no harm, no foul by doing it. But Eddie Kingston and Moxley's matchup being a I Quit match would be fine by me. And then we just get Kenny Omega and Hangman Page finishing off their little storyline that they built up with their breakup, and now that they're going to compete in this tournament, I think that would be very suitable for them to go with for the Full Gear pay-per-view. And then we get Kenny Omega beating Jon Moxley for the world title at a February pay-per-view, building up towards that. I think you get 3 months good build there, get some good storyline building going on, and Moxley loses the title a year later from the last time he won the world title from Chris Jericho. I think that's perfect. Gives Moxley a full year to be a world champion, and Kenny Omega finally becomes a world champion in AEW. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I have to say at this time. You know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. As always, I will always get back to you guys, and I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.